Let's go.
Okay, hold on. It's not letting me go live. So, one moment, please.
Why am I in a closet during this call? This is what I want to know.
Why? Oh, because you're a kid.
I have a kid, and there's an engagement party at a neighbor's house. So we came to our friend's house to put the kid to sleep, and there's no other room except this. Tanya,
Can you share that we
presumably
will start the broadcast in a couple of minutes on Jadaliyya's
Yes.
Facebook while MK is trying to fix this?
For sure.
You can go to the bathrooms yet.
Afikra, we think Tanya broke her toes just now, and I told her we can't go to the ER until I'm done with my part of the call. I just want you to understand the
We should
the
talk about these
dedication.
kind of sacrifices that editors make for Jadaliyya.
Yeah.
We should ask Tanya about that. Can she talk about that? She should be the one talking about
Can you show her toe?
والله اشتقنا لكم يا جماعة.
أي والله العظيم شرف.
Are you coming back soon? Yes.
Guys,
December, January.
You can give me a second, 1 second. MK, what seems to be the issue? I'll try to troubleshoot with you.
It is not even presenting an option to go live. So I'm trying to troubleshoot it via my account right now.
Are you the host?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
With the most? Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah. All right.
How about Shireen? Is Shireen joining as well, or?
I texted her, but I mean, she was supposed to be here, but I haven't heard from her.
She said she needs to put on some clothes. This is a problem with academics. There, yeah.
Is Noura joining us?
She's gonna try. Also from Texas, we'll see. Oh, I mean, not also, but yeah.
Hi guys.
Hey.
Hey, Nadia.
Hey. Hi, كيفكم?
Did you just wake up?
No.
Guys, if somebody wants to share something during the feed, please use the WhatsApp app. This way we could.
Yeah. Hold on. Just a sec.
I just want to make clear that I do not consent to this call being recorded or broadcast in any way, shape, or form.
Problem solved.
Munna, you were amazing at the Mesa panel, just to say. I keep saying I want to send you a note, but now I can just say it in front of everyone.
شكرا حبيبي شكرا. It was a great panel actually.
Yeah. I thought it was one of the best in the last, since it all began.
The Mesa panels recorded now available?
They're available to registrants, but the presidential panels are available to the public.
Yeah.
Lisa, are you coming?
And we'll hopefully be reposting on Jadaliyya.
What'd you say, Maya?
MK, I mean,
You in
MK,
Guantanamo?
guys.
What is the background is going.
I figured, you know, work and play always mix.
MK, in about 30 seconds.
Yep.
I'm gonna take over. Okay, I'm gonna do it another way.
Okay.
I mean, keep trying.
Sorry.
Kylie, did you do something different? What's going on?
I took my glasses off and put makeup
You took
on.
and your hair looks darker.
Moni just said the same thing. I think it's because and I haven't dyed my hair, so I think it's just that my hair is always up on these calls. So
I think you're right. Maybe that's
What about my
Looks
hair?
good.
Does my hair look darker?
you
It definitely looks darker.
Both of them.
There's that, and then there's Amar's beard, which is insane.
Yeah, did you see the picture with Erdogan where they blurred out his bald guy's head? So you and my head are gonna be like blurred out, like we're.
Yeah, and they keep blurring out my perm.
Thank God. Hi, Mayush. Hi, Samuel. Hi, Sam.
Okay.
My God. Hi, Hisham.
Okay, what's
Guys.
the deal?
Yeah, but some
Is every
Guys, can you give us just a second? If you don't mind giving us just a second.
Bassam, if you can stream it on Ecamm because it's not. I'm doing all the things that's telling me to, and it's not.
It's no problem. Don't worry about it. So long as you have the capacity to share screen when you need to, we're good. Okay, Habibti, khalas. You're good.
Thanks, everyone.
Yalla, everyone ready? I'm hoping this will work.
Ready, I don't know what for, but yalla.
I don't know what for. Is that Muna Harb? Is that a Muna Harb comment?
Yes.
I love it.
We're just having a casual conversation.
Oh my God, this picture. Crazy.
MK, I'm waiting for the cue from you.
Yep, go ahead.
Yep, go ahead. What?
To stream.
It's streaming.
Oh, okay. Then
I'm waiting confirmation from you regarding Facebook.
Okay. Yep. I haven't gotten. It hasn't told me yet. So let's give it a second. Okay, we are good to go.
Yep.
Okay, well, we could welcome everybody to the Jadaliyya 10th anniversary casual conversation with our fantastic co-editors. At least most of them are here. My name is Bassam Haddad. I am part of this collective, and I am extremely excited. I always say this, people stop believing me now. I'm extremely excited for real to be here. And we have with us about 12 of the original and the main team that is Jadaliyya's team. What you see here is a picture of an initial meeting after we had started, after we had launched for about a month or two. We met at Mesa, and we just had a hotel room. I know it sounds shady, but this is some of us at the on bed actually, or around the bed, and we have other pictures that are a bit more dignified that we can share later, or maybe not. This is just a picture that meant a lot to us because it was our first time we see each other face to face as a team. Okay, so let me go back to talking about a few things before we get started. We are here, as I said, to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Jadaliyya, a milestone for Jad, but also another drop in the bucket for ASI. We are fortunate to have many of our 17 co-editors with us today, as well as the managing editor, Kylie Broderick, and our communication and development manager, MK Smith. So thank you all for being with us. A few of the editors are trying, they're all over the world somewhere, they're trying to sign in. They might or might not make it. Two of the co-editors who are no longer with us, I mean, they're still alive, but kind of dropped in 2014 and 2016, are not going to be with us, but just to make sure we mention them, Amr Wakid and Elliot Kola. I will also mention the other editors who are here with us throughout the
Muhammad Wakid.
Muhammad Wakid, مش عمر. Amr Wakid is the actor. أخوه. All right, so this will be a casual conversation about Jad's starting points, or the starting point of our editors at Jad, because not everyone started at the same time, as well as about Jadaliyya's development and highlights over the years. Whatever people want to talk about, this is an open conversation, and at the end, we may or may not have time for some sort of engagement with people who are watching. We have 24 pages at Jadaliyya, just to be clear. Each of them relatively autonomous. Each has a team of co-editors, and most of these pages were created during the first few years, and most are active today. Some of which carry the day or take turns doing that every now and then. Not all pages are active at the same time. So you'll see back and forth based on events and team energies and other factors. The most recent addition to our team as teams are the Iran page, which was created last year, just at the beginning of the 10th year, the environment page, which was created in April, and the photography page, which was created in June. And we welcome these pages and these teams who are in many ways carrying the day because they are fresh and they are ready to produce, and we're very excited to have them. I'd like to share a couple of things before we start the conversation. Mostly thank yous. We could not have done it, which is the first part. We really could not have done any of this without you, our readers, and your support, which was unending. Even the readers that don't like some of what we publish actually like us and yell at us when they don't like something, expecting more from something that they have, that they hold in high esteem. So thank you so much to our readers. Second, I'd like to say that we could not have done it without the dedication of a team of more than 70 or 80 editors or co-editors and researchers, depending on the time, who mostly volunteer their time. There are so many of them, we could not put them all here, but we will be having conversations throughout the year, actually, with different members of different teams. Thank you all so much. And what you see today is just a sliver of the effort that is put into Jadaliyya in terms of personnel and people and team. Finally, we could not have done this properly without our broad networks in the region, including authors, scholars, activists, and artists who contributed immensely to our knowledge production at Jadaliyya, making it seem or feel like a local newspaper or publication, especially in times of crisis, because of the production of knowledge from the field, from the ground, from where things are actually taking place, which is why Jadaliyya, even though it doesn't have a particular place, it's in cyberspace, is organically also rooted in the region. I'll stop here so we can continue the conversation with everyone. And I'd like to just mention the names of the people who are with us. I'll go by the Zoom sort of layout. زياد أبو الريش، سامية الرزوقي، معين رباني، ليسا حجار، هشام سلام، ابتسام عازم، سنان أنطون، عمر ضاحي، كايلي برودريك، منى حرب، Maya Migdashi, Nadia Sbeiti, Shireen Sayali, and not with us today are Noura Arakat. Who else is not here?
Rosie
Adel
Bshir.
Skandar.
And Rosie Bshir, as well as Adel Skandar. Adel, they all said they will try to make it, so I hope everything is fine. All right, so let's get going. I know that Ziad has an emergency. He's in Beirut, which is actually redundant. So Beirut, almost called you Beirut. Ziad, tell us, احكي.
What would you like to know about?
I mean, it is your partner who stubbed her toe and needs to go to the emergency room, and you're staying with us in order to finish your say before you have to take her there. So you decide. We can stall, but I don't think you can. Tell us a little bit about the starting points.
Well, actually, I was not one of the original co-founding co-editors, but joined a little later. And for me, it was a very welcome opportunity to deepen my working relationship with that group of editors, but also to have a space in which to think out loud about things as they were unfolding. As some of the viewers know, and the editors definitely know, when Jadaliyya first emerged, you either had peer-reviewed academic journals or you had blogs. And the idea was to create something that had the rigor and the research base of academic journals, but that had the turnaround time that we at Jadaliyya kind of inaugurated for ourselves, and I think encouraged many other people to do as well. So it was a very exciting start, and it's been 10 years. It went by very fast, but I can't imagine doing anything else I do in my professional or personal life without the network of co-editors and the collaborations and solidarities of the authors that have made up the content of Jadaliyya. And there really is someone waiting for me to take them to the emergency room. To make sure that their toes aren't broken.
All right, thank you so much, Ziad. We're just going one by one, and then we can just open it up. So I'll go by the order on Zoom. Samia.
So I think I still am the most junior person on the team. I started when I was still Bassam's undergraduate student at George Mason. But one of my most sort of like enduring memories of getting involved with Jadaliyya is like, I think one person that Bassam should have mentioned, which is Tant Esma, who we all miss dearly. But she sort of like, her role as this sort of like matriarch and also just like, you know, pulling us in under her wing made me feel very comfortable. And despite the fact that I was super intimidated, as like, I think I was like 22 or something. But yeah, I was actually Bassam's backup to start the Maghreb page. I was not his first choice. But I'm so glad it ended up working out. I had a lot of opportunities to do many things, but the Maghreb page has been sort of the beginning and sort of like the highlight of everything for me, both professionally and academically. But most importantly, I think what the Maghreb page has succeeded in doing was bringing mainstream knowledge production on the Maghreb to a wider audience, but also centering voices from the region, which we don't oftentimes get with the Maghreb. So the fact that we published in French and Arabic, but also centered countries in the Maghreb that are oftentimes on the margins, namely Libya, Mauritania, and the Western Sahara, I think set us apart from others. So look forward to the future.
Okay, who wants to go next? I'll leave it up to you guys. طيب, Lisa.
Okay, well, from the youngest to the oldest, I'm probably the oldest person of the Jadaliyya crew, and I was very flattered sometime in the summer of 2010 when Bassam, who I originally knew as DJ Bassam, and had invited me to join this, incredible project before it even got started. So it has been a fantastic opportunity. I'm so glad that we have so many more people now, because back in ye oldie days, especially during the, when we were, just picking up and it was the so-called Arab Spring, we were writing, editing, posting things literally around the clock. So it's really nice to know we don't have to do so much of that anymore. And Jadaliyya just has flourished with more people. But it's been a great honor to work with everybody. And, my page is Law and Conflict. So it's sort of where I get to post a lot of stuff about my interests in Guantanamo and torture. But I want to just say my main role in Jadaliyya is just to make sure that people capitalize the words is and it in titles, because even though there are only 2 letters, it's a noun and a verb. So that's really my major contribution to this endeavor. But I love all you guys.
We love you, Lisa. By the way, not every single person who speaks needs to say something that is embarrassing about me. Thanks, Samia, for the very PR conscious statement, which I could actually address, but you're always my first choice. And Lisa, Allah la yawafik. All right, Hisham.
Thank you, Bassam.
I know what you're going to say. I mean, I actually wanted to do this whole thing when we were talking about it with the MK and others at ASI. I know what you're gonna say about the 15 minutes, so might as well say it. Only بس 15 دقيقة.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, I totally forgot about that. But now that you mention it, my most distinct memory of Jadaliyya is before launch. So I wasn't part of the founding team, but I joined shortly before it was officially launched. There were no pages, there were no country pages at that point, and no discussion of country pages or specialized pages at that point. But I just remember running into Bassam at the Center for Contemporary Arab Studies at Georgetown. And I had just gotten back from Egypt after I kicked off my field work. And Bassam was like, Habibi, let's talk. And he was like, Kifak, وكيف المدام, وين الأغراض, and all of that. And once we sat down, he was like, okay, we have this new project that we're going to launch, and I'd love you to come on board. It's something that's very, very simple. It will take 15 minutes of your time every week. It will just take 15 minutes of your time. It's like nothing more. And I was like, sure. So he came as well back in the day. This was 2010, like huge laptop sitting on his lap, and he's showing me the back end of Jadaliyya and what's been posted, what's about to get posted. And I just remember I told him like, oh, I get it. So it's a blog. He's like, nah, habibi, like, not a blog. I mean, that was one of the biggest pet peeves that we had as a team when Jadaliyya first launched, when people would start calling it a blog or like, oh, isn't that Bassam's blog? Bassam was like, just shook his head at me and told me, no, it's something that's much greater. It's an electronic magazine. It's an e-zine. I think that was the first time I've ever heard the term e-zine. And he promised that it would only take 15 minutes of my time every week, and the rest was history. I mean, just to give you context, once the Egypt page launched in the fall of 2011, I remember November 2011, it was launched at the backdrop of this joint project that Jadaliyya had with Ahram Online, and that was launched in partnership with between you almost said Amr Waked, yeah, but Muhammad Waked and Ahram Online, the late Hani Shukrallah, and our colleague and comrade Fuad Mansour and Dina Samak. And this was the first specialized page that was launched. It was a huge project that launched that page covering the elections. And I definitely remember that was my full-time job. It was not 15 minutes every week. It was not even 15 minutes every day. It's something that consumed my life at that point in time. And I think both Bassam and Ziad, who was working very closely with us at that point to launch that, the first specialized page of Jadaliyya, I think they just didn't hear the end of it. But every time we celebrate an anniversary, I always remind Bassam about this. 15 minutes, Habibi, 15 minutes of your time. But at any rate, I'm gonna leave it at that, and I'm sure a lot more people will chime in and talk about the 15 minutes that they were asked to contribute of their time, and they ended up getting a little bit more than what they bargained for.
Thank you, Hisham. Okay, who's next? Tissam. Is it me, or if you can all see the sequence? So Ibtisam, Sinan, Omar, Muna, Maya, can you just go ahead and without somebody calling? I just feel like
it's different for everybody.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Okay, on Facebook it is. Okay, I apologize. Then Ibtisam, then Sinan, then Omar.
So hi everyone, marhaba. So I joined also, I think shortly before the page was launched, and back then I was still living in Berlin, and before I moved, I moved I think maybe a year later, 6 months later to the US. And I remember also when Bassam talked to me, he said it's going to be. He said back I'm editing together with Sinan the Arabic page, although I have been taking a break lately. So also to bridge on what Hisham was saying, Bassam said back then it's for me. He said like 2 hours maximum. Really not more, but we found ourselves doing, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 hours a week at least. And of course, editing. But it was a very exciting time also because the Arab Spring started and we have been trying to get so many voices from so many places and to have a different perspective on things. And one of the important thing for me is not only this also kind of family feeling that we have, but also the amount of things I learned from other co-editors and people who write for us, and the different perspective, sometimes even in pieces that I find good, but then you send them to others in the team, and they give more input, and it's just a team effort. It's a huge team effort, and there is so much to learn all the time for me. And yeah, I would leave it here.
Thank you, Ibtisam. Sinan.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Uh, no, I mean, I remember when this was just a conversation and a dream, and when we were talking about it. And not to repeat what others said, but I'm very fortunate and very proud to be a member of this team and to have learned so much. My role was to, as Ibtisam mentioned, to be co-editing the Arabic page, which, as Ibtisam said, initially and continuously, we were so happy to launch a lot of the names and give an opportunity to so many writers who did not have access because of their politics, because of their approach, and we continue to do that. And the other aspect was the culture page, which frankly provided so much, specifically in terms of translating hitherto untranslated writers and making all of that available for audiences, which is, and our formula and our style was picked up by a lot of other publications that have continued to do that. And likewise, as Ibtisam said, the greatest thing is how much we've learned through all of this process and how one is inspired by our co-editors. And I must say that it is a collective effort, and so many of us give so much time, but a major salute goes to Bassam Haddad, because he is the dynamo and the wonderful, lovely, but very annoying, even though he's my best friend, because his patience is limitless. I would have lost patience with myself, but he keeps insisting. So it's really amazing to see how this is going to show our age, I think, or my age, that the conversations and the dreams we had when we were still master students at Georgetown have become these flourishing projects that we ourselves are benefiting so much from also as academics. I mean, whenever I'm designing a course or a syllabus and I need material, and Jadaliyya has given us, all of us, so much. So thank you everyone, and thank you Bassam.
Thank you, Sinan. I mean, I don't know about that's a bit much because I was simply, like you said, I was being annoying and getting people, motivated. And everybody, the first thing that came out of everyone's mouth is حل عنا انت ومشاريعك, get away from me, you and your projects. And it was everybody's project, actually. I was just like basically what we call the mule that was trying to push. And the term Jadaliyya, I should say, came up in the summer, in the spring of 2010, while Sinan and Noura and I were in Beirut, and we were having dinner, and we were having some drinks, and it came up at that moment. But the idea was festering and percolating for some time.
It was a great restaurant, by the way.
Greek?
Great.
Ahlan wa sahlan. Yes. Omar.
Hi, Bassam. Hi, everybody. It's good to be here, and I think I'm the most recent member of the co-editors group, tribe, ethnicity, one of those categories, the team. And I'm very, very happy to have been a member. I think I joined after really the meteoric rise of Jadaliyya had already happened and all the hard work had taken place. So I felt like very lucky, like someone had invited me to be Bill Gates' son somehow. All the hard work had been done, and then suddenly I show up. But I felt like I must have done something right if I was invited to join. So I was really proud of that moment. I have been most centrally involved with the Syria page, and I had done some work with the Syria page already before I was asked to join as sort of a co-editor at large. And I think that experience has been incredible, really. I mean, anyone who has been involved with work on Syria knows how contentious it has been, how polarizing it has been. But when I joined the page, or when I worked on the page and joined later as an editor, it had already established an incredibly wide readership, but nevertheless, it was also, I could say, there are lots of vocal voices who weren't happy with it. But as time has passed, and maybe we can get into this perhaps later on in the discussion, I think all the work that we've done has stood the test of time and has become, even I think as more time passes as well, it'll, be something that Jadaliyya can be also very proud of. So I'm very happy to have joined. I'm very happy to be part of the group, and I've learned a lot from everyone here. I think it was Nadia who I met first. So she's the one who introduced me to Bassam when she was back in her Smith College days. So I'm actually grateful to have met her, and maybe she'll go next.
Should I go next?
Yes, that's brilliant. Can you please choose the person to go next for the love of whatever you're into?
Okay. Hi, Amar. Thank you for that. Hello from Beirut. First of all, I have to say, I can't believe it's been 10 years. I just can't believe it. They have been incredibly enriching 10 years of being part of one of the most incredible groups of people from whom I have learned so much. And also as part of a project that has, and I say this with all humility, but acknowledging that it has been part of shifting conversations around the Middle East and other parts of the world and the region in really, I think, important ways over the last decade. And in that respect, I'm really proud to be part of the co-editor of the Newton page and the reviews. Newton is new texts out now. I imagine most people, if you're watching this video and listening to it, you're familiar with this page. It's become one of the, I think, most important resources for students, professionals, researchers, faculty members. As Sinan mentioned, a lot of people who are putting their syllabi together consult it. It's also a way that we can bring literally new texts of now increasingly across all media to Jadaliyya's very wide and varied audience. And so I'm really happy to have worked on this with Anthony Alessandrini and then David Stelz, and now my co-editor Lizzie Gallagher, who unfortunately couldn't be on this call. So I am just happy and grateful always to be a part of this project and to be able to, learn with and from everybody on this call and people who cannot be here, but remain, really kind of central in keeping me grounded and sane and engaged and happy, if I can even use that word. So, hi, thanks.
Please, can you select somebody?
Muna, sorry, Muna Harib. We'll keep it to Beirut for the moment.
Habibti Nadia. Hi everyone, and happy anniversary to Jadaliyya. It's great to be part of this group. I feel also very fortunate to have been roped in very mischievous ways, as well as others have mentioned. I remember when I kept telling Bassam, Jadaliyya is great, but it's missing a cities page. And he kept telling me, Yalla, just do it. And I'm like, what? How do you do a page? Yani, ma عم بفهم. شو يعني do it? And he kept on repeating that every time we saw each other. At the time, visits to Beirut were more regular, and we used to see each other more regularly. And then at some point, I'm like, I'm going to just take it up with him and just do this page. كيف بنعمل? How do we do a page on Jadaliyya and call it cities and introduce the urban discourse among all these Middle East people who keep talking about political economy and stuff as if there's no urban stuff happening too. So I was so keen to engage with everyone on the issue of spatial production and political economies and cultural geographies and many other things. So it was very, very exciting to join this amazing group. I felt I was also adopted, and I always felt like a little bastard sitting in the Middle East rather than being among the Arab Americans, being back there in the US. So it also always felt a bit remote, maybe too much. But it's been, I would say, too, an amazing ride, and I'm very, very happy to be among all of you today and celebrating. And I have to highlight what others have said, that I don't think the world of knowledge production would be the same without Jadaliyya. And I say that not because I'm a co-editor, but because really the number of times I go back to that platform to use resources from it in my teaching and my research, or recommend things to others, is just like almost every day or every other day. So it's really an amazing platform, and I just want to wish everyone happy anniversary and thank all the people behind the scenes who are working on this, who are not among us, and especially the ones who are devoting hours and hours to still make this happen. I'm not as engaged as I used to be in the beginning, but it's a place you can't really leave, and it's a very generous and safe space, and I'm very, very privileged to have access to everyone here. So thank you so much, and happy anniversary. And I should give it, so we're going to stay with the Lebanese. Maya.
Hi, everyone. Happy anniversary. It's really wonderful to be with everybody. We don't do this enough, although we do have these meetings and we're supposed to be doing this, but more often. I think just to follow a little bit with off of Sinan and what he was saying about revealing our age, you know, we started Jadaliyya when it was founded, and a little before the official date, I was still in my 20s. And now I'm now exiting my 30s. So there's like a whole, you know, archive of time and memory and love and camaraderie and trust that is also, I think, really essential to this project. I think we all trust each other on a very deep level. And I think that is what makes it work ultimately. And I remember even when I first heard about, or maybe not in this frame, but we were at Dirar Hakim's house many, many years ago for like a whole weekend session of editing about Baghdad. I remember I was there, Bassam, Sinan, Nadia, Shireen, and Bassam and Sinan started talking about these notebooks that they had from their, leftover from their MA program. And all these ideas that they had. And I think that there's a beautiful sort of way that all the sort of work that we do revolves around a kind of, not only an intellectual commitment, but a political commitment and a personal commitment to each other. And the political commitment, I think, for all of us has always been universities do not own knowledge production, nor should they. And we really wanted to have a kind of, as many people have said, versatile space between basically academic writing and other genres of writing. I work mostly editing. I'm part of the Lebanon editorial team, and I'm part of the gender editorial team. And I think I just got a text message from one of you about what I'm saying. Okay. I think, well, I mean, I don't really know what to say, honestly. So yeah, I think the best part of this project has really been working with writers, and especially offering a platform for people to write. And I think there's something we don't often talk about, but you know, the last 10 years have been really hard on everybody, hard on all of us. When we talk about like the last 10 years and how Jadaliyya started, and in sort of how it got swept up during this particular historical era, and then a counter-revolutionary era, a really, and this has also just been a community that we sustain each other also. You know, this community of people also, I think, for myself personally, was really critical to just keeping afloat during a very, very difficult 10 years in the region. So I'll end there.
You have to pick someone, Maya.
Okay. I pick Shirin.
Hey everybody, happy anniversary. The person who introduced me to Bassam and to academia is Nadia on the shores of Sporting Beach, more than 10 years ago, let's say. And the first thing that I did at CCAS, where I followed Nadia, was to start working on the Arab Studies Journal, which was the mothership for the Arab Studies Institute, and something that I would remain very committed to until this day. And one of the sort of children of Bassam's amazing collaborative imagination. And he first started talking to me about Jadaliyya on my balcony in Cairo, at which point I said, no way, man, I am not going to come on to another project. I know what this looks like. No, 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 no. And he patiently kept saying, okay, well, we'll just see about that. And I remember very clearly, I think the thing that first compelled me to the idea was the thought that, oh wait, I can comment on something without it having to be, a 5-year research project. Like I can just sort of read an article on audits and say, well, I have a lot of problems with this piece and I want to really take my, analytical skills to it. And we started doing that. And this was during the soft launch, which was in that spring, summer period. And I remember like writing a couple of pieces and just sending them to Bassam saying, hey, what do you think? And yeah, this is great, Habibti, let's do it. And for me, I was just saying this to Maya yesterday, that year of 2010 to 2011, the kind of 24-hour contact we were all in that Lisa talked about. I mean, I don't think I will ever forget that in my life, because it was this period where we were all online. We were all following the events as they unfolded. We would receive submissions. We would read and edit almost immediately and post within like a 5-hour period. And we would disagree and we would debate and we would argue. And we did it from love, really. And I think this is a family, and the person who established this family was Esma, and her loss is one that we mourn every day. And more than anything, it's really based on the idea that we can question what is expertise. We can create space for people to shape new kinds of expertise, that what we do is political in the sense, not just in the phenomenon and events that we speak to, but also in the political practice of creating space for new voices, for not just tearing work down, but also building it back up again, right? Giving people the tools and the suggestions and the ideas to shape new kinds of expertise. And I think that for me was one of the most exciting possibilities in that time during the Arab uprisings, and then afterwards to really kind of guard that space as a space of collaboration and rigor and generosity. And, I would not be where I am today intellectually or even, personally, without this group of people who I'm grateful for really every day. And I would also do a very special hat tip to Bassam, who I think is the motive force of this kind of collaborative familial rigor. So happy anniversary. And I will, oh, and I work on the Palestine page and the gender page, and for a while, the Egypt page. And I'll say before I end quickly that one of the things, I'll say two more things, that I think one of the things that young scholars should try out is this genre of investigative journalism. I think it teaches you a whole bunch of new things about how to think and how to write. And I also, one of the ways that Bassem convinced me to come on board was to say, you know what? Don't think of writing short pieces as mutually exclusive from your own work. Writing short pieces actually helps you write longer pieces. And I think that has been a very important lesson that I continue to rely on, you know. So I think, okay, this chapter is basically like 4 short Jadaliyya pieces. So I would encourage everybody who's listening, please submit to us. We want to read you and we want to publish you. Maureen.
Hi, everyone.
Actually, Noura is with us because she's on the move, so she's with us for a short period of time, kind of like Ziad. So, Noura, if you could just share some starting points that you'd like to share, and anything.
Sure. I just wanted. Okay, so I know it's hard to take me seriously like this. Can you even hear me?
Yes, you're
Okay.
clear,
Here.
audio and video.
Hello. I wanted to just hop on. Just to, you know, this was not a good time for me, as I shared with everybody, but like for solidarity and just to emphasize how important this community has been and continues to be in my own intellectual growth. So I'm sorry that I won't be able to listen to everybody, but just the thing for me that I remember is that about 10 years ago is also the time that I decided to go back to school and to shift from doing legal advocacy as, you know, the full-time to becoming increasingly engaged in scholarship. And that transition happens directly with Jadaliyya. And I was listening to you, Shireen, saying this, like, I mean, for me, it couldn't be more true. I couldn't have become that person, one, without the rigor that Jadaliyya has required to show up as an editor, which I had no idea how to do. Two, it makes you definitely a better writer when you're editing because you start to think about yourself. But three, to do it in community with you all and to listen to what the conversations were like and what questions you were asking, and to even watch you as you edited other writers. You know, all of that was, you know, I was absorbing constantly and just this is what I think of when I think of Jadaliyya. And then the thing that's been so surprising, and maybe the ones amongst you that are much smarter than me already knew this, but I found Jadaliyya's rise in success and growth quite surprising. The way that it established itself as, right, you can't live without it. It does its own thing. It's like, if you build it, they will come. And so, and now to hear, I'm around people who might not know that I'm an editor, but to hear them, one of the ways that they show off or like to, talk about what they do is they like to say, yeah, I've been published in Jadaliyya. So it's been a great source. And we've done the Palestine page and the law and conflict page with Lisa. And one of the amazing things about that also is, like everything else, it's the counter-hegemonic narrative that gets to be told. And I'm just really lucky. I'm so glad. I'm glad we're patient with one another as each of us has had ebbs and flows. Jadaliyya is 10. It's such a big fucking deal, and it continues to grow and has become a marker of either you're like Jadaliyya or you're unlike Jadaliyya, and that it's become multimedia and expansive in so many ways. And I love that it's also, I just love that it's also just a reference for so many people who want to get, what does Jadaliyya think, as if it's a personality, and in many ways it is, because it does reflect the whole and not just the sum of its parts. So, Mabruk, Kusarawantu Salmin, thank you so much, and I apologize that I can't stay on and be with you for the rest of this time.
Thank you. Okay, do you want to pick somebody to go next, Noura?
So I don't know who's gone, but I'm looking right at Maya.
Okay, Maya, you want to go again? Why not?
Oh,
I had
see,
picked
I didn't know who
Maureen.
went.
I
I'm
had picked
sorry. I didn't know.
Maureen.
Green picked mine.
All
Julie
right.
had Moeen, so Moeen, it's all you.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I also wasn't present at the creation, and when I was approached a bit later, I was somewhat skeptical in the sense that I grew up in the era of paper and books, and the idea of publishing a magazine electronically. I was just skeptical of the concept, mainly for not being familiar with it. But, you know, it was, Jadaliyya consisted of a group of old and newer friends. It didn't pretend to be politically neutral. And I think we all shared broadly similar political outlook. And once it began to develop, it really began to go in all kinds of new and interesting directions. And what I liked most about that first period is it was really limited to the co-editors. There were no pages. We really functioned as a voluntary collective, and we did everything together, having to deal with things throughout the region. And gradually, I think to our credit, we developed and started spawning off all these more specialized pages. And I think it would be fair to describe Jadaliyya today as being a network of networks. And that's really, I think, its main strength. And I think it has very much proven its value. I can't remember who said earlier today, it's, you know, it's neither, it has the rigor often of an academic journal, but also the timeliness of a magazine. And I think that's also why it appeals to so many of its readers. As far as my own work with Jadaliyya is concerned, you know, I enjoy the editing part of it very much. And I've been involved in the Palestine page, and also more recently with the Quick Thoughts page, which tries to bring a more current events perspective to much of the analysis that's published on Jadaliyya. And I think last but not least now is Adel.
Actually, Kylie has been with us, and Adel just joined. I just want to make sure that we give time to Kylie, and Adel is going to be with us because apparently his mother-in-law was there, and he had to do due diligence, and so he's here with us for good now. Kylie, our amazing managing editor and the heart of the engine.
Very sweet. Okay, I was gonna let Adel go first so we could have like all the co-editors go at once, but now that you've given me this introduction, I can't say no. All right, so I am the newest addition out of everybody here. I'm not a co-editor, but I'm a managing editor. I also started as Bassam's student, much like Samia, so this appears to be the sort of well-worn mafia train that we all get on this program with. I entered through ASI, actually, the kind of parent organization, the Arab Studies Institute of Jadaliyya and a bunch of other organizations. And I started as the managing editor of Tadween, Tadween Publishing. And I sort of migrated to Jadaliyya about half a year into it. Then I was a master's student, now I'm a PhD student. I can't comment on the very beginning of Jadaliyya because I wasn't around then, obviously. But to me, what's really exciting in the almost half a decade that I've been here now is that Jadaliyya feels like, again, it's entering a new era with new energy. We have a more robust and vigorous team than I think I've seen in previous years once again. And I'm very, very excited about the new pages that we launched this year, the new initiatives and projects. And I have been very lucky in my capacity to work with all of the editors and our contributors as well. As managing editor, my fingers are kind of in every pot across all of Jadaliyya. And so I've been so lucky, so very lucky to meet all of you and work with you and everybody who writes for Jadaliyya as well. Like everybody else has said here, Jadaliyya has been more for me than like an intellectual journey. It's been also a place where I've personally grown, sort of intellectually grown, politically grown. And I'm just so grateful to be with you today and to be with you for these past few years. So thank you.
Thanks, Kylie.
Adil, go ahead.
عادل انت تحممت ولا خلاص مش الحال؟
لا ما الواحد بطل يتحمم خلاص. So it's so wonderful to follow Kylie and I mean, I'm not sure who else is going to, am I audible? Yes, I am. I just want to say, you know, it's quite surreal to be celebrating Jadaliyya's 10th anniversary now, because it's such a cataclysmic and absurd time in human history. And, you know, fortunately or otherwise, we've grown accustomed to Jadaliyya being a companion of ours, not just as members of the community of Jadaliyya, but even as readers and followers of all that matters in the Middle East and North Africa and the world at large. Jadaliyya has been our sort of interface with the more complicated questions of our times. My introduction to Jadaliyya was, I'm not one of the founding, you know, parents, if you will, of Jadaliyya, but I came to Jadaliyya quite shortly afterwards. But I do remember quite distinctly just coming across, I mean, stumbling, if you will, on Jadaliyya just prior to the Arab Spring and thinking, wow, this is a constellation of really creative, rigorous, contemplative minds all coming together with a tremendous amount of ingenuity and innovation in their perspectives on so many disciplines. And they're reflecting in deeply honest ways about justice in the Middle East and North Africa, and the relationship with the West and colonialism and, you know, and settler colonial enterprises, all these types of things happening at once at a time when even the term intersectionality wasn't the sort of the popular term that we know today. So it was very, very organically intersectional, and it was exhilarating. It happened just prior to the Arab Spring, and before you know it, we have these moments of rapture in the region, and Jadaliyya was well positioned to offer real, meaningful, and deep and nuanced reflections on what was happening in the region. Now we're 10 years into Jadaliyya's life, but also it means we're 10 years, we're almost at the 10-year mark with the Arab uprisings. And it's a time of profound contemplation. In the meantime, we've all grown a lot. You know, even our understanding of the region has grown a lot. I love what Maureen said about this being sort of the network of networks. It's absolutely true. The connections that we've built as scholars, as thinkers, as activists, as artists through Jadaliyya is, and I like, but I also don't like saying the word family, but we are essentially a very, very large and constantly growing family of individuals who see eye to eye on the importance of social justice being a central part of political and intellectual transformation, both in the region and beyond. As a media and communications scholar, I'm interested in Jadaliyya not just because of its content, but because of what it represents structurally. It is sort of an e-zine to end all e-zines, if you will, raising the caliber of what constitutes an online publication to such an extent that that it pushes the boundaries of not just academic turf, but also popular media and sort of mainstream content production. That to me is absolutely unique and landmark. The fact that Jadaliyya continues to churn on is also incredibly unique. There are so many other experiments of the sort that have fallen to the wayside or don't have the capacity to survive and continue. It is in no small measure a testament to the commitment of the staff at the helm, you know, being both Kylie as well as Bassam being sort of the main engine behind it. I mean, you know, we have to give credit where credit is due, but the rest of us are all deeply committed to the continuation of Jadaliyya, not just because it's Jadaliyya, but because of what it represents. It represents all these issues that matter so much to us and to the regions that are that we address and speak to. So congratulations. It is a time to celebrate, even though we are in these very sort of trying and difficult times. It is time to celebrate the ingenuity of the human spirit in the face of adversity, and to look forward to new ways of contemplating and grappling with realities on the ground in such a way that hopefully elevates both the discourse and the realities that exist in the region at large. I'm extremely exhilarated to continue to be part of it and look forward to the next 10 years. I know that right now at this particular juncture in time, Jadaliyya is literally undergoing, as well as many of the ASI entities that are connected to it, whether it's Tadween or MESPI or Status. I mean, just there's so many operations that they're working very much in tandem in creative ways. And I look forward to where this experiment, I'm going to continue to call it experiment, where it takes us next. But I'm literally as excited now as I was when I first stumbled on Jadaliyya just prior to the Arab Spring. So, you know, it's, I don't know, you know, why this is continuing to be the case, why this adrenaline rush continues to happen, but I can count on it continuing beyond this point. So thank you all, and it's a pleasure to be with you and in your midst. That's it.
Sam, you're muted.
Yes, Sam? Samia, hi Samia.
One time I think this is it. I think everybody went, and I really took some time to thank everybody, and I didn't sort of say my sort of bit, and I thank everybody for being. It's not a cliche, but too generous, because saying all these things about my role. Yes, I mean I was pushing people, but I really I couldn't have done any of this without people like you. I just want to say one thing about Jadaliyya, and this it's not a project. I mean, it is a project, but the reason why it survives and people wonder how it actually continues to survive and thrive and expand and be inclusive without problematics of almost any sort, notwithstanding various sorts of imperfections, of course, by us and by the actual publication. It's because it didn't start at 2010. A lot of people called us and said, "How do we start something like this?" And it's really not. I mean, of course, you can start something at any point, but the reason it is what it is because it is a product of almost 20 years of intellectual, personal, political, and ethical also solidarity among people, a group that kept on expanding under the umbrella of the Arab Studies Institute in ways that are non-hierarchical, in ways that are based on solidarity, in ways that appreciate and practice volunteership. The repetition of this practice, which is the definition of institution, preceded the creation of Jadaliyya, which is why when Jadaliyya came into being, it wasn't a new thing. It was the manifestation of so much work, labor, and political commitment. And the outcome was evident right from the first moment in September. Even though we started publishing in July and everybody was yelling at me for actually writing articles throughout. I mean, most of us were writing articles. We had almost 30 articles by September 21st or 22nd when we launched, but we were not going public because we wanted to actually have a hefty set of pieces when we went public. And we were just writing these really good articles, and but we never went public until September 21st or 22nd. I forget. We don't usually celebrate at that moment. We celebrate in the fall now, just because we're busy. So it's a manifestation of this personal and political um, and intellectual solidarity over the years that expressed itself in the building of an organization that is based on solidarity and volunteership in ways that are non-hierarchical, as I shared, and in ways that allows people to come in from an undergraduate degree and be immediately a full member of the team, which is the case throughout the Arab Studies Institute. The moment we lose that detail is the moment I think this project or this effort, this journey will begin to end. So this is what I wanted to share as my part, and I have not ever anticipated that my knowledge base will expand and grow so much as it did. And it has, of course, because of all the other projects at the Arab Studies Institute, but mainly Jadaliyya, because Jadaliyya actually is not just one thing. It's actually a labyrinth of many layers and many approaches and many pages and many um, angles. And as much as we thought that we knew something about Iran, about the Maghreb, about Yemen, about Sudan, and of course about the sort of, the center, Egypt, and so on, we ended up learning a lot more through interacting with each other, which is something that we actually try to have built into the way we operate. So we have to see each other's work as often as possible, and comment on it, and read it, and engage with it. So that's all I want to say about that aspect. And I want to thank everybody in a way that is really, really deep. Not just for everything I shared, not just the politics and the institutional commitment and the political commitment and intellectual commitment, but also for that ingredient that seems to be in overwhelming supply, which allows us to be what we are, and allows us to basically compel others to feel that this is actually a real ingredient in institution building, uh, and that is the abundant love that exists throughout this network, and this is very important, and it's maybe not a sufficient condition, but I think it's a necessary condition when you're in a situation where things are proceeding not based on a salary or based on some sort of material reward. So the message, and then the respect and love that people have for each other is, as far as I can see, almost unparalleled. And it's not the kind of thing you can break from the outside, which is very important as well, whether it's by political foes or what have you. And it's the unit around which a lot of things are built. And I hope that this continues. And we are now in the process at the Arab Studies Institute and at Jadaliyya, frankly, those of us who are, hitting their 40s and 50s and beyond, we're in the process of institutionalizing, and we have been for 6 years actually, these operations, so that if we all disappear, like those of us who were here 2 decades ago or 3 decades ago, things will be just fine. That's why we feel it continues to be important. And as Adil said, it continues to reinvent itself because of this effort, again, which is always imperfect. But I just feel that that this is one of the key ingredients of us moving forward without any concern, because of this effort that we all believe in and then we all feel. So yeah, affect is very important in institution. My daughter is, Baba, can you give me just a minute? This is how I keep track when she's not at home. Okay. So basically, I just want to say that affect is an important part of institution building. It's not just nice to have. It's a very important part, especially when you're in a camp politically and intellectually that is not the mainstream camp, and that is trying to actually put a dent in mainstream discourses. You need all the power you can get, and sometimes material power is not at hand, and this sort of power is extremely functional. So with that, I would like to show a couple of pictures, like a couple of things that from our past, and right after, it's open mic. We already took we took an hour right now, starting with this moment, so we could take another 15 minutes or so. People can say whatever they like. I just want to share a few pictures. This is basically the meeting we had at the hotel, the Mesa Hotel in 2011. I forget which city, with Elliot Kola, myself, Rosie Bashir, Shireen Sayali, Maya Migdashi, Noor Ariqat, Danya Sbeiti, Ibtisam Azim, Ziad Abu Rish, and Mu'in Rabbani. It was a wonderful moment, and we really lived it up during those meetings. Same picture, same crowd. I think somebody was, I
If
forget.
you're showing pictures or supposed to be with us right now, we're not seeing them.
They're showing up on Facebook.
Ah,
Oh,
gotcha.
oh, okay. Yes, you are right, because all right, well, they're on Facebook. Well, just imagine the picture on the bed, all of us. Yeah, I know that sounds wrong. And then, of course, here's what the early website looked like. This is something from 2011, addressing different stories. Um, just happened that the pictures I'm showing of the screenshots of the website are Jamal Mubarak and Bashar Assad, because they were, I mean, they're always in the news, especially 2011. And then a picture of an article actually by Lisa Hajjar, um, and other memorabilia, if you will. And we have a lot. I'm not going to show anymore. But was the old website, and this was the original moment. And here we are, 10 years on, looking for another 10 or 20 years. Uh, I'm just beside myself how people continue to be as dedicated, and I try to explain it, but I don't have an explanation for it. So if anybody would like to jump in and share anything, I know Mu'in will, because he always does. But if anybody else also is interested in sharing something, that would be nice. We have a few minutes, I think. And thank you to MK for being in the background under the title of Arab Studies Institute, sort of helping us organize this feed, and so much more that Jadaliyya and the Arab Studies Institute is doing. Um, anyone? You don't have to be mushy.
I just want to, I think it was Maya or someone had just reminded us of the olden days when one of the things that helped motivate us was our Excel sheet of shame, when we wouldn't, publish, be writing enough. And so that Excel sheet of shame, for all the editors in terms of what their numbers were. I also, one of the things that I eagerly look forward to each year, and I'm always disappointed because I'm never on it, is the 100 most read articles. So I also would say, I think Maya remains at the top of that heap. But it's a fun thing, just even every year, to see what has been published over the past year, and who's been reading what. The last thing I'm going to say is, the second Henry Kissinger dies, my obituary for him is on the Jadaliyya back end. So you can go to Jadaliyya for the first obituary for Kissinger as soon as he dies. I'm ready.
Sinan, you had wanted to say something about the Arabic section, or Ibtisam, since you both Ibtisam ran the Arabic section for most of the tenure of Jadaliyya. And Sinan recently as well. This is one of the elements by which this project, this publication, is distinguished, because there are really good projects in the Arab world in Arabic, and there are really good ones here in English. But the combination of the languages, and then perhaps just as importantly, and even more importantly, the actual location from which people write, has been a tremendous power behind Jadaliyya's sales.
It was always a team effort, and actually lately.
ابتسام ما كتير عم نسمعك الصوت.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. Okay. No, I'm just saying it was always a team effort, and as I said at the beginning, that the feedback and the input we are getting from other editors and people who also work now with us, like Osama Isper, and it's huge. And for the last 2 years, actually, Sinan has been running the section more and trying to change a lot to add new things, and maybe he can say more to it, because he has been doing, together with Osama and others, amazing work.
Thanks. No, we're continuing what we used to do, and after a relative period of low productivity, now we're back in trying to strike a balance between publishing literary criticism, translations of important selected articles from Jadaliyya and elsewhere, as well as other types and genres. And I'm proud that in the past decade, and this is according to a lot of writers that we have who thank Jadaliyya in private and in public for launching their writing and giving them space where others would not give them because they're not part of any cliques or networks. And some of the writers have gone on to write elsewhere. So we're continuing to do that. And if anyone is listening, we always welcome new voices and new writings. And I must say, although this might be tooting our own horn, in going to Iraq, in somewhere in southern Iraq, I was very happy to hear that Jadaliyya's Arabic pages are read by a lot of people in places that we don't think. And of course, needless to say, oftentimes we publish material that cannot find space, of course, in all of the country-owned or corporate-owned media in the Arab world. So, writings about domestic labor in the Gulf, about issues in the Arabian Peninsula and elsewhere, and also as much as possible, we try to get also writings from Mauritania and writings about Yemen and so on and so forth, because I think despite the efforts that everyone is making, there is still kind of marginalized regions and peripheries that need much more attention and focus and knowledge production.
Okay. Anyone else?
Can I add a couple of things to what Sinan just said?
I mean,
Yes, no?
Please jump in, for the love of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
And
I
by
just
the way,
I just wanted to
I must say, because this is basically a very polite conversation, but I must say that one of my disappointments with this conversation is that, as opposed to our other conversations, is that the only one expletive actually appeared. So yeah, go ahead, Adil.
I just wanted to say that I think it's important to note the incredible diversity that Jadaliyya brings into the discussion of the region at large. I mean, we've seen the platform grow. I'm not going to use the word exponential because I feel like it's problematic to grow exponentially, but incrementally in such a way that enriches. I mean, we've only seen pages emerge at opportune times when the dialogue about the subject matter is important. So, for instance, the Turkey page around the time of the Gezi Park protests, the refugee and migrants page during the time when discussions about migration and the criminalization and securitization of migration comes into the mix. So everything from discussions in the Arabian Peninsula to political economy, the reviews of books. I mean, I think very few platforms exist online that have such a meaningful dialogue and conversation with newly published materials in the form of Newton. So in terms of regional voices, as well as topics and themes, it's really quite colossal, the fact that all of this exists underneath one umbrella. So I just wanted to say that, and to also reiterate what Sinan had mentioned about the far-flung locales and territories around the world where Jadaliyya reaches. I mean, it's a really it's not only a colossal undertaking, but I think the impact is far larger than we can possibly ascertain and assess. And I do want to say really quickly that Jadaliyya is a continuous work in progress. I mean, that's the beauty of it. I think we're only as good as the contributions that we get and are able to publish, but most of us are immensely proud of the work that we've seen on Jadaliyya. All of us publish on numerous platforms, both peer-reviewed and not so peer-reviewed or non-reviewed at all. But I think most of us can say with relative confidence that the work that we've seen published by us, our self-authored works on Jadaliyya, are some of our best work, and that's not an overstatement. So I just wanted to say that in light of future contributions from other thinkers in and on the region, that we welcome your work. Sometimes it's arduous and complicated to publish with us because it takes a while for articles to come out. We are not in the news cycle per se, but it always translates into better, stronger, more rigorous publications that the authors themselves can be immensely proud of. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Adil. Maya, did you want to say, hey, ahlan wa sahlan. Did you want to say something, Maya? I thought I saw you trying to say something.
بس لحظة عشان هلا إجازة.
لحظة. دخيلك. Okay, well, we're wrapping up, so I just want to remind anybody who might be listening that the reason also we keep going is because Jadaliyya is part of a family, which includes the Arab Studies Journal that has up to recently been edited by the mighty Shireen Sayali, and now is co-edited by Ziad Abu Rish and Owen Lawson, who is one of the movers and shakers of the environment page at Jadaliyya as well. And Ziad, of course, is part of the Lebanon page, if you will, and many other projects within Jadaliyya. And he is the other person that shoulders, along with me, a lot of the sort of internal infrastructural aspects of Jadaliyya from day one, to the point where we always have trouble with our families and friends because we're glued to the we were glued to the platform, frankly, before 2016 in ways that were very unhealthy. So the Arab Studies Journal, as well as Quilting Point, which is the audio and video collective, which produced documentaries and now produces our podcast, Status or Al Wada, as well as a really important opportunity, which is the newer project, which is Tadween Publishing, which allows us to, in many ways, publish what we are producing and also publish work from the outside. And of course, FAMA now, Forum on Arab and Muslim Affairs, which is our research branch or arm, and it actually is the biggest part of the entire organization of the Arab Studies Institute, because it includes within it more than 14 huge projects that have their own teams and their own mandate connected to the ASI mission, including the political economy project, including the biggest project, which is the knowledge production project. And then MESPI recently has been our mainstay in so many ways. And you can see that on Jadaliyya or by going to mespi.org, and that is Middle East Studies Pedagogy Initiative, and then various other projects on various countries and topics. So I'll just say that, and then we'll see. Maya had something to say.
Yeah, I wanted to say right before my nephew barged in, just that I think one of the things that I personally am proud of, and I think it's something that sets us apart, is that we have a feminist editorial policy. And I think, from the beginning of the page, we've had like a very long ongoing conversation about and it's been a continuously open conversation about and opening, I think, for all of us. And I think that's something that does sort of set us apart from a lot of other publications. I mean, it definitely sets us apart from a lot of traditional academic publications. And we could always do better. And I think one of the things that I really appreciate about this group is that we do hold each other to account. And we do, love means that we can actually argue. And I think that's really very important to stress, right? Is that love is actually key to holding each other accountable. And that's something that I appreciate very much. And it's the conversation about even the sort of expansive, long running conversation about how we write, how we publish, how we edit. I think it's made me a better writer, but it's also made me a better feminist and a better, more nimble sort of thinker and reader.
Okay, well, I've never seen these people as polite and calm as they, I mean, even Lisa, I mean, what the hell? So maybe it's a combination of things, but I guess thank you all. Unless somebody has something to close with, Samia, Mu'in, Hisham, uh, Shireen, Omar, Sinan, Kylie. Unless somebody has something to close with, then we could close and frankly maintain our promise that we will continue to produce knowledge at the medium speed between peer-reviewed journals and between regular blogs, daily blogs, which is basically what the promise was, and that is to bridge the ivory tower with the broader public. And we continue to strive to do this in better ways and expand to include more and more chunks of what can be called the mainstream, many of whom are probably not interested in reading something like Jadaliyya. But we are also expanding the nature of our knowledge production to audio and video without compromising the substance. And that is something that is allowing us, frankly, to reach a broader audience that is actually then coming back to the textual production. This sort of synergy has been extremely important for us, and we actually deliberated it with the creation of our audiovisual magazine called Status Al Wada. Okay, so you can find out more about any of this at the ArabStudiesInstitute.org. In the meantime, thank you all so much to everyone who is here for joining us, for being very generous with their time. I know everybody's going to hang up and continue doing on the laptop what they have been doing even during this conversation, because we're all so busy, and everybody who's watching is probably equally as busy, that if we don't multitask, we just fail. But thank you all so much again. Thanks to people who are watching. Sorry about the audio issues in the beginning. The problem was that we couldn't connect through our main account for some reason. So we had to connect through my account, and then the audio problem emerged as a result of trying to coordinate Facebook, Zoom, and the software that I'm using. So apologies for any missed audio in the beginning. However, we will be re-releasing this entire conversation on Status YouTube, on the YouTube channel for Status Al Wada, with the original audio, because we do have it. Shukran, thank you to all, and have a wonderful, everybody here, have a wonderful rest of Sunday. And to everybody else, stay safe, and as I keep saying, stay together, because that's the most important thing. And we'll see you on jadaliyya.com.
Bye, everyone.
Yalla, ciao.
MK, hey! Thanks MK, thanks everybody.
I'm gonna just stay on.
عادل فينا نشوف حماتك please. You're muted. طيب.
بس انتوا عم بتبلشوا تشبهوا بعض على فكرة.
أنا وعادل؟
ايه.
Well, thanks, because أنا أكبر منه بشي 10 سنين 12 سنة. شكرا. Okay, all right, thanks all. Thanks MK. Maya, Adil. Assalamu alaikum.